So today we'll be seeing about, and in last session we saw how to do a roll-up summary between accounts, contacts, and using a custom objects. That is something which is recorded and is available in YouTube for a go through. And today we'll be seeing about another feature called validation rules, right? So when we talk about any validations or data integrations or whatever, like if customers goes, for example, if I'm creating a new account, if I entered my account name is Lakshmi, and I have an option to save directly without entering any other details. But I wanted to restrict user to enter some data. Let's say if I'm creating a new account, a phone number should be required, the company email is required, company website. So I need to make a form validations so that I can capture a right information from my business user, right? So in order to do that, we need to write a validation rules. Those are called form validation rules, right? For example, let me go here. Um, so we have three different types. One is field level validation, field level required. The other one we have page layout required. And we also have one more thing called validation rules. We also have a concept called validation rules. So ideally, field level validations and page layout validations will be considered as object level validations. So when you make any fields required at a page layout or at a field level, these fields are always required while creating a new records. In this case, we are using an account object. In this case, we are using a concept term called account. So we have a field level required, page level required, and validation rule. So the only concept here in validation rule, these are conditional required. Conditional required. What does it mean conditional required? If I go back, if I select my rating hot, then only I need to enter my company email. If the rating is not hot, if it is a code, then the company email is optional. So what is happening? You are making the input, the required data based on the other field information, right? These are called conditional validations. Those conditional validations will be derived through validation rules. For example, in my case, I wanted to make my company email required. How can I make this company email required? For this, I need to go to setup, object manager, and which object I wanted to make any changes, which is an account object. So I'll go to my account object. I'll look for fields and relationships. Inside fields and relationships, which field I wanted to make required at a field level? Company email. So I'll look for a label called company email. Here it is. And I'll see this is __ C, which means it is a custom field. I'll go and edit. I'll make required, always required a field in order to save this record. This is called object level field required. Or we can also say another term called field required at a object level. Field required at a object level. As soon as we save it, from now on, if any of the user wanted to create a new account, the company email is required. The company email is required. If I click a new, now you can see the company email is become required. Now complete this field in order to continue. For example, I wanted to make this website required. Instead of a field, what is the other option we have? At a page layouts, right? At a page layouts. So now if I go here, account, in which layout? Page layouts, account layout. I'm in an account object only, and I look for a website. There is a small setting symbol you can see on hover of this field, properties. Click on these properties and say required. And say required. Now if I go here, refresh. Every time we need to refresh because we made a configurational changes in the system. As soon as we reflect, it will reflect. Now website is also required. But where is required this? This is required at a page level, only at a UI. But in backend, the object level, which are two fields are required, only account name and company email. This is an UI. For example, what is the third option we have here? Validation rule, right? This field is required only when I select rating is hot. For example, if I select rating hot, then I need to have a phone number. How can I do that? Object manager, as soon as setup, object manager, account object, and you can see a validation rules in bottom. You can see a validation rules in bottom. New rule. Now the question, rating is which type of field? Whether it is a drop down field or a simple text field? As it is a drop down field, so let's say hot accounts phone required. So this is a label, rule name, and I'm making it as an active. And which is this? Rating is a drop down field. For a drop down fields, we need to use a function called isPickVal. In here you have a functions. You can see the functions. These functions you need to use a field called isPickVal. In this you are seeing one thing. isPickList, you need to enter a pick list name and the text letter. In this case, what is our pick list name? We don't know. We need to know what is that field name? Rating, right? Click on insert field here. Click on insert field and look for rating. Okay. And then what is the field value that we are looking? Hot. isPickValue, rating is hot. And what is the next field? Phone field is blank, right? If phone field is null, if the rating is odd, then only we need to throw error. As simple as that. Let's say, for example, is phone null? If it is yes, is rating hot? Then show error, right? This is what we need to do now. So now we added a condition called is rating hot. That's what we are saying, is rating hot. What is the next condition we have? Phone field is null. So we also have another function called is null. We also have a function called is null. What is that field? Phone field. Phone. Insert phone. Now we have two conditions. Imagine in our educations, as you already know, we have two types of operators. One is logical operators. We have two types of operators, right? What are those two types of operators? One is logical operators. And next one is conditional operators. So what are logical operators?
Logical and logical OR.
Yep. So the operators are and, or, not. And, or, not. And what is conditional operators? If else, right? These are conditions. If statement is a condition, if else is a condition, else is a condition. So we have two operators. Here we have two conditions. So now the question goes, if it is 1 1 comma 1. What is the output? Which is 1. If I say and of 1 comma 0, 0. In this case, if these two conditions satisfies, if they are true, then we need to throw error, right? Then we need to write a logical operator, isn't it? And open bracket, the first condition, and then comma, second condition, close. Check for syntax. So no errors found, which means right. Phone is required. Phone is required. I'll say field at. Either I can show at a page level, either I can show here or at a here. Either I can show at error at particularly to the targeted field. In our case, we know what is that field. That is why we say that, hey, field. Which field is that? Hey, I want you to update at a phone field. Make it as a phone field and available. Now, if I say that I selected hot, if I hit save, first it is asking basic information. I'll say that Deepak, company email, admin@, and then website, and then if I hit save, my expectation, I should get an error. By why it is not showing an error? Even though it is hot, the phone is blank, still it is not showing an error. Rating is hot, phone is blank, we should throw an error, right, as per the formula.
In front end only we were doing that. We were not passing to back end now. But phone, it is.
No, actually, right, even it for front end, but data will check from back end. While hitting the database, these validation rules will be validated. Now, in our case, what is the validation rule it is saying? Hey, if rating is hot, yes, rating is hot. But phone is null. But in my terms, I'm using a concept called blank. What is the difference between blank and null? The blank will have a memory and it doesn't contain any value, where null doesn't contain any memory. All your text fields, all your string literals will always have a blank value. So it means that, let's say for example, if you are using a number like 1, 2, 3, decimals, currency, all this will contain a null memory. But a string literals will always have a blank literals. So instead of is null, we need to use a concept called is blank. We need to use a concept called is blank. So instead of here is null, I'll say that is blank. So even that method is available, don't worry. Here you can see is blank. Save. Now if I edit and save, because it is hard, it will throw an error. Phone is required. Why this is not working at the initial stage? Because this is a text literal, phone is a text literal. Because why phone is a text literal? It will take +91, right? And you can use hyphens, you can use a brackets in a phone concept. Right, this is never treated as a number. This treats as a text. So that's how the phone is blank value. It's a blank, not a null value. So don't get panic when you start using a is null. Ensure that that contains a null memory. If it is not a null, then you should use a concept called blank. If you ask me the other best option, I can say keep both is blank or is null. It works for either cases. We don't want to worry about it, right? So now the other question. Now let's go back here. What we covered here, we made a field required at field level. We made field required at page level. We made validation rule, right? Now adding to this point, I wanted to have a functionality like this. User. I have a user who is saying create a new account. He creates a new account. He will create a new account and then he will come and edit that account. Edit account. What is editing here? If we change is account name changed, If he changes account name, show error saying, hey, you cannot edit your account name once it is created. Now the consideration is how the Salesforce will get to know whether the account is being edited or being created or being cloned. How we'll get to know? By default, Salesforce offers a few functions called is new, is cloned. What are the two functions it offers? Is new and is cloned. If it is not new and if it is not cloned, what does it mean? If it is not new, if it is not cloned, what is the function left? Edit. So we need to write a validation rule saying that, hey, whether my function is not new, whether my function is not cloned, and account name is changed, then I need to throw an error. How many conditions we are here? 3 conditions. First one is new, is cloned, and then is account change. But do you need to check for is new or not of is new? We need to check for edit. It means that it should not be new. So it means that not of is new. Not of is new. For example, if I go here, I'll write another validation rule. New. Account name change validation. So first one, we need to use AND operator, right? We have 3 conditions, isn't it? We have a logical operator. And then what is my first condition? Insert. Sorry, I need to take a function. Which is one? Is new, right? But is new or not of is new? We need to use a concept called not of is new. Not of is new. And what is the next one? Not of is clone. And what is one we change? Is change. There is a function called is change. What is the field name that we need to use? Account name, right? I'll use account name insert. Check syntax. You cannot modify the account name once created. You cannot modify the account name once created. I'll show it account name and I'll save it. If I go back, if I try to change this account name, it should throw an error saying that you cannot modify the account name. Once it is created, it's fine. But if it is not created, then it will throwing an error for me. Now understand. Now business user coming and saying that if he is a super user, instead of user, I'll say that super user. If business user comes and say he is a super user, he is allowed to edit your account name. He is allowed to edit the account name. So while checking this error, it also check another condition. Is super user. If it is yes, then don't show. If it is yes, then don't show. If it is super user, and then I'll say that he has an option to no, and then save the account. If he is a super user, then I need to save a user. So before to that super user, I wanted to go to my user profile. Let me go to my user setup. I'll go to my setup and I'll make a little modification at a user object. Currently, if I look my users, there is no field called is super user. I'll go to Procodingskills. This is a user that I'm using. There is no field called super. Even if I do super, There is no super user. I wanted to get a new field called super user. So I'll go to object manager. I'll customize my user object. I'll customize my user object fields. User, go to users, fields and relationships, new field, and I'll say checkbox. Next, super user. And I'll say next. Visible to all profiles, as I mentioned in last class. Save. Now I'll go to home. I'll look for users. And I'll go to Procodingskills. And I'll see a field called super user. So I'll edit my user object. I'll check this checkbox, super user, save. Now I'll go to my validation rule. I'll edit it. I'll add one more condition. Not of super user. If it is a super user, we don't want to show error. If it is not of super user, we need to show an error. Not of inside which field? User. This is a dollar user means currently running user, whoever logs in. And then what is the field? Super user. Super user is a checkbox. So it always have a value called either true or either false. If he is a super user, the condition will become false. So if it is 1 0 inside once, it will be 0. Outcome is false. If he is not a super user, so false of true, true. So then it will throw an error. Say. I'll go here. Before I got an error. Now I shouldn't be getting an error. Deepak, input thing. And I'll save it. Okay, phone is required. Save. It got changed, right? I'll go to users now. I'll deactivate it. I'll uncheck the checkbox called super user and I'll save it. Coming back, editing it, and I'm changing Deepak Inukurti to Deepak, and I save. We got an error. So we are able to satisfy the condition with the super user. So how we are able to do it? Based on the user customization. So what we are looking, we are taking a dollar user, nothing but a currently running user. We are considering it and we are able to do it. Clear? Any question on this?